Hello and welcome to UA Anime Club. I'm Seth.
And I'm Micah.
And I'm Jolly Donnie.
Ooh, this is the Figure 8 anime podcast where we talk about a new anime every episode. And in today's episode, we're getting a little jolly. We're getting a little festive.
Little festive.
For the Yuletide times or whatever it's called.
Make the Yuletide gay, even.
Something like that. Something like that. Today we are going to be reviewing something a little out of the ordinary on UA Anime Club. Typically we've reviewed all of season 6 of My Hero Academia, and then we spent 4 hours reviewing Chainsaw Man, which none of you guys saw.
Don't worry, don't worry.
It's all right.
No,
God,
it's all right, don't
God
worry.
watched it, and that's all that matters.
Oh, okay. But yeah, today we are going to be taking a look at renowned director Satoshi Kon's Tokyo Godfathers. That's the name of the movie. I completely forgot. But yeah, we figured that it would be appropriate, seeing as it is the Christmas season and we are reaching the New Year very soon. That's kind of when this movie takes place, and it's got that Christmassy vibe to it. We figured
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
So, if you're just clicking on this video because you thought the thumbnail was interesting and you have no clue, what Tokyo Godfathers is, basically, to sum it up, it's a movie by Satoshi Kon about 3 homeless individuals. Let's see if I can remember their names off the top of my head. Gin, who's kind of this jaded, gruff middle-aged
old guy.
dude. We
The
got
wife and the kids left him.
Yeah. We got
Hana.
Miyuki.
And Miyuki. Hana is she's kind of an older transgender woman who's also like homeless with the group. And we got Miyuki, who is a runaway teenager. And the trio of them are like a little found family living on the streets of Tokyo. And they find a abandoned baby, and they decide to
Gaga. Sorry.
And they decide to take the baby and try and find its real parents. And that's the basic plot of the movie as situations happen to them. And it's really fun. It's got that nice family Christmas movie sort of vibe to it.
Kinda.
Yeah, very Christmas. Very much so.
It's very much...
That's such a fucking stupid thing to say. It literally takes place during Christmas.
It's a very Satoshi Kon type movie.
Kon?
Kon?
I don't know. I think I said something else.
You said Kon, I think.
You said Kon.
But yeah, it's very grounded and sort of slow and very true to life.
Yeah.
Sort of movie.
Very much a movie
until
about...
it's not. In certain parts.
It's very much a movie about like the random situations that you find in life and sometimes happens to you.
They're all tied together trying to find the parents of this small baby.
Yeah, there are parts of it that are very like I wouldn't say it's full absurdist, but it kind of leans in a little bit, it's just a tad.
We
like
watched...
you said, it's very grounded, but there's like a sort of fantastical tilt to it.
Yeah. We watched the 2020 4K re-release because this movie was originally released in 2003.
And it originally had a dub back then, but it recently, back in 2020, I think, got a redub, which is more, from what I've heard, is more true to the source in the writing.
Yeah, it got picked up by G Kids, which they are a anime like English distributor.
Yeah.
So they're kind of one of the main companies who like put out a lot of the anime films in theaters in the West. And And yeah, I remember hearing about that a couple years ago. It's like it's re-releasing. I was like, oh, that's cool. It's, movie I never watched before.
Hmm.
I'm happy for those people who get that thing. But now we're watching it now.
This is also my very first Satoshi Kon movie.
Same.
I've
Me
never
as
seen
well.
one before.
I've never seen it. Satoshi
He.
Kon is like one of those directors who has like he has movies that everyone loves and for good
Hmm.
reason probably, but something I don't know what any of them are about. Like I hear lots of people say that these things are really good and well made, but I never hear movies are really like about like what happens in them. So like
Mhm.
I I have a very surface level, or I had a very surface level perception of this director. I just knew that lots of people liked his work and was very influenced by it. And he was kind of one of those like great visionaries,
Hmm.
uh, in terms of animation and just storytelling as well.
I've
Yeah.
always heard a lot about like his work because it is very influential in many ways, and you even have first name I cannot pronounce Del Toro.
Guillermo.
uh,
Guillermo,
yes, he. um, you hear him about him also praising the work of Kon, uh, for its very unique style and type of allegories that it puts
hmm
in between, which is from what I've understood about his history, Colin's history, is that he is very much a man who puts a lot of interesting, deep, cutting themes within his works.
Mhm. For the uninitiated, I guess, or for people like us who've not really experienced Satoshi Kon
Hmm.
movies, or maybe you have and you just don't know the name. His previous works include 1997's Perfect Blue, which I have heard about.
Yeah,
Hmm.
2000,
that's like the main one you hear about a lot.
2006's Paprika, and the series Paranoia Agent from
Yeah.
2004. Uh, I know Perfect Blue is considered like the first true like mainstream adult Japanese animation sort of situation.
Mm.
I've heard that a lot. I don't know what it's about, and
I like
but
vaguely know some things, but not really.
but to me with movies, not knowing is kind of like the surprise. It's like
Yeah.
opening a Christmas present, which
Ooh.
Okay.
you
Haha.
don't know what you're gonna get.
Okay.
Never know.
Millennium Actress, which I don't know what that's about. That's
But
also a movie that people talk about.
Hmm.
But yeah, like this, I definitely would recommend this movie to anyone who, around this time, especially because it's just a very like, it's just a very nice like, it's just like a nice like original Christmas movie, and that's really like that's really special because I feel like a lot of Christmas movies, let's be real, is a very saturated
Oh yeah.
scene, and every Christmas movie kind of feels the same after a while, but this one is very much like Christmas is definitely part of the story, or it's around the story. It's kind of like the setup of the setting, but it's not
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
it's not like Santa Claus comes in. It's not like that kind of movie. So if you heard like, oh, Christmas movie, and that like turned you away, no, like
Hmm.
actually like it's about these characters, but their human drama and experiences, and about their kind of their very sad lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's very much a movie where, for some, Christmas is about a lot of joy and goodness in life that comes with it, but also for some, it can be a reminder of the past and can
Hmm.
kind of be sad for some people, which this movie kind of showcases that part of Christmas, how not everyone always can experience Christmas the same and has a very different life that they've led in the past.
hmm
Yeah. it's kind of a movie about restructuring your life and finding a new purpose, as well as
Rediscovering.
rediscovering who you are and what's important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's also about family,
Yep.
obviously. That's that's kind of one of the main takeaways you'll have. It's like, oh, family, not every
Mhm.
family is a conventional one. Uh, a lot of
It's found
people, yeah, it's
sometimes.
found. But I think that there is a bit more than just that general theme. I think it's interesting that like you said, like Christmas is definitely a time where people are reminded of a lot of things, not just of their past, but also of things that they don't have,
Mm-hmm.
things that they aren't able to provide for other people. Uh, I mean, literally, like my aunt like messaged my mom today, being like, "I can't. Don't bother getting me anything because I can't get you anything this year because I'm like busy with all this shit." And my mom was like, "Bro, like that's not what it's about. Like I want to get you stuff because I just want to." But like that's the thing, is that a lot of people, they don't feel like they can they don't deserve that if they're not able to provide certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Um but I think there's a lot of interesting themes throughout this movie about found family, but also about trying to make amends, but also I think just literally the circumstances and the things that happen in the film kind of challenge these characters to have to face those things again.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's even like explicitly with how like the teenage girl Miyuki, she kind of acts like she doesn't like her parents and stuff, but she misses them a lot. She just doesn't want to confront that because she's been gone for so long. She ran away. It's like
And the
that.
reason
So
we'll talk about in
yeah, we'll talk
spoilers.
about the reason. Um, but yeah, I thought it was a very interesting take on the found family trope, especially because a lot of the main three characters kind of don't like each other sometimes, and like they don't just bicker, they fucking fight with each other. And you could argue that some of them aren't even that good of people. Uh,
But
but
hey, that's family.
yeah,
That is family.
sometimes your family can be dicks. Sometimes your family's can be dicks. And I thought it was also interesting to see from the lens of like the main characters are homeless, so they really do not have they're kind of at a very low point in their life.
Yeah.
Um, and just a lot of I don't know. I really enjoyed it, especially as this being like the first film I saw from Satoshi Kon. Apparently, this is one of his more happier works, so
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's a good thing to start off with.
That's true.
Like, this is one of his more quirky type of movies. So I guess
This
that's
movie,
that's nice.
there's bits in this movie that are very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
It's
all
it's very funny.
it has very amusing animation, and I gotta say the facial animation especially is extremely good.
Yes.
It's really nice
Very.
to watch an anime movie that kind of has that sort of really hot, like detailed, like cinematic, uh, I guess Disney-esque animation.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah, like that big budget, very fluid, very
Expressive.
yeah.
And when I say
I,
expressive, you couldn't see it, but I put my hands to the side, like really exemplifying that message.
this
It's
many.
expressive.
yeah, expressive. Yeah, I the characters feel real. Like they feel like you can touch them and you would feel skin. Like they have form and weight to them and dimensions, and they have their expressions, like they're expressive, but they express in a way that's it's very animated, but it feels very natural.
Yeah.
Um
Some
there was like a thing I noticed a lot where characters would sniff a lot
yes.
while they
I
talked.
Mhm.
And I just like that little detail because, well, first of all, it's fucking winter. It's
it's
cold as
winter.
shit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
In
sniffling
Japan,
and
that's the
sniffing.
snowiest place on the planet.
Dude, yeah, it gets cold down there, bro. Like actually, they don't. That winter shit is serious. But
Mm-hmm.
I just really fell in love with the animation style, and I thought that, like, because of how weird and eccentric the characters are too, that gets brought out with their mannerisms. Like, animation should heighten the scene. It should, like, make the scene elevated, and I think that it did that successfully.
Hmm.
Um,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I agree. It's one thing without spoiling, I can say the movie has it's not just about like Christmas. It has multiple different allegories for just like social commentary on homelessness
Mhm.
and also religion and not just Christianity,
Yeah.
which Christmas is usually put with, but multiple religions, and it has it brings in some very interesting themes, and
Hmm.
Yeah.
I can really
They were
appreciate that.
singing Christian hymns in Japanese, and I've never heard that before,
I know,
like,
right?
ever. I never would have thought. I never would have thought, dude.
Japanese Christian church.
Yeah, I was looking into it earlier. I can talk
Hmm.
about it later, but, like,
Definitely.
it's very Japan has a very interesting relationship with Christianity.
It's
Hmm.
It's
it's
not a popular
very
religion there, but
yeah.
it is there. People practice it, and there is, yeah.
Christianity is very much not a big part of Japan. Well, because as Christmas is more so a novelty
Yeah.
than a expression of religion.
It's almost
Like,
like
Christmas is, like,
Christmas in Japan is almost like a wintertime Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
a little.
Because
it's
it is
it,
kind
Yeah,
of a
cause like,
romantic holiday.
isn't it also that's when couples do stuff?
mhm,
Like, Christmas, they go out, yeah. It's basically like a fucking you know how you'll meet people who love Christmas, but they don't love Christmas for the religious
mhm.
reasons. Like, they don't practice it as a form of their religion. They just like Christmas because Santa and Santa hat
Yeah,
and
like
the
me.
decorations and the Christmas tree and the songs
And a hot
and the hot like, it's like they like the aesthetic of Christmas.
exactly, it's the novelty of
Yeah.
Christmas.
They like the aesthetic of Christmas, not like,
Mhm.
I mean, some people there who practice it, they practice it for religious reasons, but like Christmas generally, it's just kind of like, because it's not even, I don't even think it's recognized as a holiday there, like an actual holiday.
Mm.
But they do have Christmas shit. Um, anyways.
But
It's
yeah,
interesting to look at.
Hmm.
it's very interesting. It's a very wholesome kind of movie. Definitely recommend.
Mhm.
I
Go
wouldn't say
see it if you
wholesome.
haven't. I would say it's pretty. I mean, it's got some serious stuff in it, but I
Some crazy
think
shit happens in the movie, but yeah, I think it is wholesome and like you know,
by the
yeah.
end you're like, oh, but also like,
Mhm.
what?
Yeah.
Huh?
A little, huh?
Huh?
But
Huh?
also some aw.
Yeah.
It's a good mix.
Yeah.
All right, if you have not seen this movie and
Get
you're like,
out of here!
I want to go see this movie because my favorite YouTubers told me to. We're no one's favorite YouTubers.
If
Uh,
figure eight, no, if figure eight is your favorite YouTube channel, bro, you gotta choose someone else.
I'm
Like,
sorry. We
Well,
upload once every 4 months.
I'll give you a kiss.
Oh,
I'll give you a smooch on the lips.
but yeah, if
But
you have not seen the movie and you would like to go see the movie, and then
and if you just don't
come
care,
back.
then you can listen to us and
Yeah,
then see
maybe
the
you need
movie
a little more
after.
maybe you little need a little more convincing, and spoilers
Yeah,
will
yeah.
do it. And this is the line. Boom.
Boom.
Spoilers. What the hell was that ending?
Funny. It was a little funny.
It was funny.
So at the end of the movie, when they find out the truth about the baby's parents,
Oh, we're just getting to the end.
we're just getting to the end because I needed to talk about this.
Uh-huh.
When
Fair enough.
we can talk about anything and anywhere. Uh, we get to the end of the movie. After we find out that the mom isn't really the mom, she took the baby from the hospital. She's gonna jump off the building with the baby, and they're trying to stop her, and they fall off, and then Hana catches the baby while falling, grabs like an awning or a flag or whatever it was, and then like fucking Jesus comes and like not actual Jesus, but like
No.
magical sparkly wind comes and lifts them up and they float down to safety because
It's Christmas.
Christmas. I
It's
know that they've been. I know
No.
throughout the whole movie, sort of like something is guiding our protagonists, keeping them from harm's way. Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
something is happening.
I
So
think
I actually have a note about this
Okay.
yes. Let's
in
hear it.
terms of like what the director wanted to like portray.
Hmm.
I'm like looking at the. I'm staring at Wikipedia right now. I'm looking at this blank, not blank, but it's this bright ass white screen in my face. Um, Essentially, he wanted to like focus on that idea of like meaningful coincidence, or
Mm.
like just like things that happen to you in your life where you're like, holy shit, what a coincidence. This is like, it's like a gift from God. This happened, even though like
Mm-hmm.
things just happen to you. Like it's not really necessarily about like fate or
Hmm.
karma or whatever. Like shit just be happening. But that was
Yeah.
something that he wanted to focus on. The specific quote that he said was, "This film is an attempt to restore in a healthy way the miracles and coincidences that have been pushed into the other world by the weapons of scientific logic." So
Mm.
essentially, like kind of like not saying like science is wrong. It's just more so like blending this idea of like fate essentially of being
Yeah.
like all these things because there's a lot of things in the movie that happen that like you could like surface level you could be like that what a fucking coincidence
Hmm.
Right.
that
Like
that
there are
happened.
moments where like like the TV is on and they're having an unrelated conversation, but then the TV will be like, "And tonight's top story: missing baby," and it's like their baby, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
That's that quote is very interesting. As like the movie has a bit of that divine intervention with it contained with it, but also like it is true that like sometimes life just throws in things that you cannot explain, and
Whoa.
it's just like, huh.
yeah." I use
Either.
the I feel like because I brought up the ending for example because
Hmm.
that's what
That's a good example.
that's a really good example of this
How the
particular
fuck did that
theme
happen?
of the story. I
Hmm.
remember early in or not early but like in the midpoint of this movie they Hana does say like, "Oh, God loves this child,"
Yeah.
and like the movie will have you believe like, "Oh, maybe this baby is a favorite."
Yeah, like
it
it's like you
There's
said,
a
like a
part
divine intervention.
There's a part where like they're arguing with some guy outside of a convenience store, and then the ambulance behind crashes behind them. Like if it was like a
if
couple of,
they were inside,
if
like
they were inside or if a couple of feet, like a few steps backward, they they would have been
Dead.
gone.
so
Dead.
yes, that is kind of like there's a lot of allegories that you can really look into within this movie, and I mean that's very much a big part of Kon's like pieces of work, but like something that I y'all kind of like brought up was that like it's kind of like the three wise men with this child that you can kind
It's
of
like a version of that in a way. I mean, not
you can
not
not in a way
exactly, but like you could make the argument
the
that like because
connection.
well, first of all, it's three characters. Um, Four is the three wise men.
And there's also I got this from the reviews. I'm regurgitating. There is on the child or the baby, there is like a mole right in between their
Mm.
forehead. And that is often related to Buddha with the third eye.
Hmm.
Um, I forget exactly what you call it, but that is also kind of like another symbol of like the religious allegories within the movie.
Dude, that baby's the Dalai Lama. He's the next one. That yeah, I remember I saw the on the baby's forehead. And I was like, that's indie thing.
Mm-hmm.
That has to be on purpose. They did that like to be like, yeah, like
Yeah.
what you
Yeah.
said. I just couldn't articulate because I was just like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I knew it in my head. I just couldn't say it. But yeah, he basically what he wanted to do was portray a series of events that like obviously so like coincidental and could never happen, but the way that it is portrayed, you kind of believe it, you buy into
Yeah.
it. Like that
Mhm.
was kind of the intention here, where it's like, oh,
And
this does seem like something that could happen, I guess.
in a lesser movie, that sort of writing would come across as not it's kind of considered not good writing when things just sort of
Happen.
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 Yeah.
But and the way that this film sort of like the way the writing has all of the sort of coincidences have this intentionality to them. It like it all like seemingly like
It
works in
rests.
its favor because
Yeah.
it ends up sort of it's sort of it sort of gives the movie its three-act structure without giving it a three-act structure
Yeah.
because of Satoshi Kon's logic of this movie is a string of coincidental events. It doesn't necessarily have a three-act structure, and I've noticed this in watching other in the few Japanese movies that I have seen is that most of the time it's more like well, real life doesn't have an inciting incident and a midpoint and a
Mm-hmm.
and an end act climax and a resolution that ties it all together. Like it's more of like a window into a very specific portion of someone's life. And of course the movie does sort of have that three act structure where it has a beginning and a middle and an end where they wrap up their goal, but it doesn't
Mhm.
feel like it feels like after this, things that happen within the movie do continue on later in like the future, just unseen.
Yeah.
They would still
Like,
happen. It's not like when the movie ends, it's like that's the end of the story. Like that's it.
and they live happily ever after.
These
Mm-hmm.
characters are just self-contained in this 1 hour and 50 minutes.
I do like that because yeah, there is some like that Hana gets to meet her basically her own basically found family and
She has like
mother,
yeah,
not
it's
not
a
actual
it's a
mother, but
it's a drag queen bar. Like I
yeah.
immediately was like, oh, like she was a drag queen. That's her drag mother. Cause
And
in drag scenes, like they kind of refer to their like group as a
yeah.
family. So like there's like
Mm,
the head person who is the drag mother, and then the people who are kind of like mentored by her. Those are like the daughters,
mhm.
the
Yeah.
siblings, the kids. That's
And
how they
then
kind of refer to the structure.
Jin gets to see his daughter again and kind of reunite with her.
Mhm.
And then what's her name?
Miyuki?
Miyuki.
Miyuki,
Yeah.
I would say Miyaki or something.
she gets her thing last. Like
She
hers gets extended for most of the movie.
yeah, she
Yeah.
it doesn't that's the thing about the movie is like you guys were saying like she gets to see her father finally, but it doesn't really show what happens next. So you're kind of left thinking that like life continues on and whatever happens happens, and you do get the resolve that like these characters do have a good ending, have found their good ending, but
Yeah.
also that they do have more to their lives as well that you will not get
Yeah,
to see, but they do.
They're live in that aspect.
Mm-hmm. I think that's
they're
nice.
alive.
I want to
Bruh.
go through each of the main characters kind of individually.
Of course.
Yeah, I feel
So
like that's a good way to like kind of go through
Mm-hmm.
the plot
I
because
want
they
to
all got their
start.
own shit going on.
I kind of want to start with like sort of not simplest, but like I guess we'll just go sort of in order as we're introduced to them. So
Mm-hmm.
um, we're first introduced really to Jean.
Jin. Yeah.
We're introduced to Jin and Hana at the same time, but
Yeah.
let's talk about Jin first. And as we said, he's kind of like the jaded sort of gruff older guy who's
Had it rough.
he's had it rough.
He's a bit selfish.
But it's interesting because when the trio finds the baby and they name the baby Kyoko, and he has a really strong reaction to that name, but he doesn't say why immediately. He's just like, "Oh, it's a fine name, I guess." But then we get in any other movie, this would be like the sad backstory scene where he explains that he was like, oh, before things went wrong, I was this international cyclist guy, and some shit with the mob went down, and I lost it all, and my family died of an illness, and now I'm homeless. But then you find out that that's just a lie that he tells other people.
Yeah.
Because what actually happened was that he was just a stupid drunk who gambled away all of his money, and his wife and kid left him.
He's a man who's very ashamed of his past and who he is.
Exactly. And then when
Yeah.
He bundles himself up with a lot of lies and just like trouble with that he kind of creates for himself in a way.
I thought you were about to say he bundles himself up with his clothes. I was like, sure,
You do.
Yeah. He do be all bundled up.
Continue though, Seth.
And like when we get to there's a bit because there's a section of the movie where Hana is like bleeding out or something, and they go to a hospital, and this is the part where we meet Kyoko, but not the baby.
Not the baby.
Jin's 21-year-old nurse daughter. Because they're not, his family was not actually dead. Again, they just left because of his circumstances, and we get to have that conversation between the two of them after so long, and it's a really nice scene of just like two people who are like, oh, it's been a long time. I don't think I really know you that well anymore, but like we're gonna try. And I really like that because I don't think I've ever seen that in an anime before. Mostly because I watch stupid meathead shonen Jump anime, but that's besides the point.
I watched
it was a beautiful scene.
Beat 'em ups for babies.
Yeah, it was a beautiful scene.
And like with Hana, who is basically the first character introduced, she is kind of Jin and Hana are kind of parallels to each other, where Hana is a person who's very proud of themselves and proclaims loudly who they are. Meanwhile, Jin is very ashamed of who he is and does not proclaim. He masks
I think also
exactly.
that proudness is also kind of a bluff sometimes. I mean, there is literally parts in the movie where she will just be like, I mean, it's specifically those times when Jin gets hurt or he's in trouble, and she's like, "Man, fuck that guy. I don't give a shit. Rot in hell." Damn. But like, she does care about him. It's just that like,
It's kind of in a way where something that we learn is that Hana kind of has an attraction towards Jin, and Hana kind of has kind of the role of a mother. And when it's kind of funny because when Jin finally like gets to talk with his daughter, Hana blurts out a shit ton of like, well, after Jin like says that he like lied and everything, Hana is extremely upset, like a mother would be after like a husband would lie.
Yeah. Do you know that picture where it's like a mom, a dad, and a kid, and like the dad's like yelling at the mom, and then the second picture, the dad's like kneeling with the kid while the mom berates them both. It's like that.
Yeah, it's very much like Hana is felt like betrayed by Jin, like a mother would feel, and
Yeah.
very just like says like everything like he did wrong, and like she is proclaims everything. But afterwards she makes the remark that like if that is his daughter, then she will accept and forgive him. And I
Hmm.
think that's a nice remark.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that, like, I mean, obviously, this is a very dysfunctional group here,
Yeah.
but they almost, whether they realize it or not, still fall back into their roles that either they used to be or want to be, or just kind of play into the archetypes that they are
Hmm.
supposed to be. It's like a weird, like, I don't want to say it's like a complete subversion. It's just that, like, it's like one of those things where it's like these are real people. They wouldn't be consciously doing these things.
Of
Hana isn't
course.
acting like a mom because she's the mom character, so she has to. Like,
Yeah.
you get that sense where it's like these are traits that they naturally have and are
Hmm.
actively leaning into without even realizing it,
Yeah.
you
Hana
know?
is simply a character who has always dreamed of being a mother and having
Hmm.
her own child,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
which is how these traits come out as, even though she
Yeah.
doesn't
Which I think is
realize.
so interesting because, like, um she is transgender, and I think
Hmm.
that just that portrayal is so but it never feels like it's like it never feels like it's what's the term, like she's being made fun of for
Oh
that
yeah.
per se.
No.
Like, it doesn't feel like they're taking the piss out of her. It's just
No.
more so that, like, there is this acknowledgement of how she believes it, or if we believes it, that she can't really fulfill that role that she wants to as a woman and a mother.
Hmm.
But, like, she also has those innate traits, but she's also leaning into those archetypical, like, traits a mother would have. Like,
Hmm.
I think there could be an interesting discussion about gender there because of, like,
Hmm.
I mean, even earlier in the movie, like what does Jen say? He says something like, "You can't even, like, have kids," and she's like, "Well, the Virgin Mary had a kid, and she never fucked. She just had a baby." She just had a baby because God, God gave her one. She
ties
Yeah.
just
into
had a fucking
the
kid.
ties into the coincidences and miracles sort of theme
Yeah,
Hmm.
a
yeah,
little
yeah,
bit.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
great.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah,
funny because after that conversation, they find Kyoko, the baby. So
yeah.
it is again like the coincidences,
Hmm.
um, which I think was a really interesting aspect of a character because she's kind of a very God-fearing woman. She's very like in tune with like her religion and her
Yeah,
kind of
like
like.
earlier in the movie, they were going to church, and like it was her and Jin at the church, and Jin was the
Mhm.
one who was like, "I don't even know like this shit," but she's like, "No, like I like it. Like, I like going to church."
Yeah, and
Something.
that it really
Something.
informed that part of her character of like, you know, the miracles. You know, it all ties into the theme very well.
Hmm.
The movie can explain it to you better than I ever could.
Yeah,
It's
just
very
watch it, you'll get it.
interesting. It's very interesting because yeah, Hana doesn't necessarily believe in like Christianity or other religions, but more so highly respects it and like kind of creates her own view around religion with the
Hmm.
mixture of all the other religions in a way. It's kind of fun because that is a part of real life, and how some people do work is that not everyone conforms to a very specific one, but sometimes believes in multiple things.
Yeah.
It's the good nature lessons that
Mhm,
it should instill upon people that she takes pride in believing in, takes pride in
absolutely.
herself. Uh, yeah,
I guess
she's
it's
a
I
really
guess it's
interesting
also
character.
I guess it's also the idea of, like, if you really believe in something and you manifest it to be true, then it is. Like,
Yeah.
even at the start of the movie, she's like, "Though this baby's blessed, we're gonna find her parents.
Mhm.
Like, we have to find her parents." Like, Jin's the one who says, "Take her to the police," and she's like, "No, like, we have to find your parents."
Yeah.
and then they do. They find the parents. So
And it
Spoilers.
we talked
no.
about the ending first, to be honest.
Yeah,
But
you
Sure.
literally
also,
spoiled the ending of it
The
first.
climax of the
That's crazy.
movie.
but
Yeah.
it's fun how like at the end, because of this goodwill and faith that Hana had, she has the chance now to be like a mother and be a godfather.
Yeah.
The name of the
Before we
show
move
The
of
on
the
name of the
to
movie.
fucking movie.
oh whoa! Before we move
Oh.
on to Miyuki, I want to circle back to Jin because
Mhm.
that sort of reminded me talking about Hana about how there's a point in the movie where they do the classic argument and split up at the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
Um, but he finds like this really old homeless dude
Mhm.
at the end of the movie, and he brings him to his little place. And homeless dude, he ends up dying, but he gives him like this little pouch, and we don't know what's in the pouch until the very end of the movie. Um, but after that, that's when like the he gets clued in on the whole like was that when he gets clued in on the baby was stolen?
He
Like he
finds out, and when he meets that dude, like from a poster on the wall, that
Mhm.
so the way that they find the house, anyways, is that there's these two towers, the twin towers. There's these two towers, the background of the photo of the family, and he goes into that dude's hut and he sees a poster of those exact same towers, and he's like, "Oh shit!" Like it brings him closer to the
to solving the
location.
mystery, yeah.
Mhm.
And then he leaves, and they get assaulted by some teenagers,
Yeah.
and
They just get beat up by these fucking shit ass teens.
dude, teenagers in movies are like the are like the worst.
I hate them more than villains, to be honest. Sometimes, like if you
I'm
have
not.
a villain, like if you
They're
have
Yeah,
a
like beating
villain
up
and
the
some,
old guy who's dead
yeah,
already.
it's like damn, you just don't have any respect.
yeah. There's like I don't want to say that it's just in Japanese media. It's not, but I feel like I've seen some Japanese media where they're just like not just shitty teens, but shitty teens who beat up homeless people.
Mhm.
Like there is a vitriol towards the homeless.
Yeah.
Like what?
And what's an interesting detail to kind of random detail to bring up is that during the scene where he is getting beat up, there's windows that are lit up in the background, but they kind of like turn off as he gets beaten up, kind of like a health bar in a fighting game.
God, that's so
It's
fucking
a very
dumb.
specific
That's so
detail that
funny.
you can miss, but like once you see it, then it's like, oh, that was intentional.
Mm.
And I bring up this
Oh, that
scene though.
reminded me of something, but I'll talk about it later.
Mm.
I bring up this scene though because it does inform something about this character where like it's after the whole like, well, you know, I don't even care about this like stupid like thing that we're doing. I'm fuck you, and he leaves.
My
But
life is
but
worthless, but then
but the again the miracles, coincidences, whatever start happening, and he sees like it all like coming together with the mystery, and even
Mhm.
after being like, nah, fuck you, he's still like, oh shit, I gotta go tell them, we gotta go get this baby back. Like he still has that sort of like, he still's got that heart, even though he'll
Mhm.
on the outside he'll, you know, reject whatever whatever affection or anything that comes his way. He's
Mhm.
very much like the foil of Hana's character, and I thought that was
Hmm.
really interesting. And
Yeah.
it again, the sack at the end of the movie, well, it's not really super important, but let's talk about Miyuki.
Mhm.
Okay. Wait, I was gonna say something. Fuck.
Oh yeah, you were
Oh
gonna say.
yeah, yeah. Before you go into the wiki, it's something else. But I was gonna say you reminded me because it's like again, it's that thing I talked about where it's like they kind of lean into those archetypes, but again, it's not like it feels like there's more to it than just like, oh, mom and dad are bickering again, because
Yeah.
mom and dad bicker all the time. Like it they are fleshed out as characters, so it feels there's a lot that's emotionally charged with that, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah.
It doesn't just feel like it's for the sake of the story, or rather it doesn't feel like it's for the sake of the fact that they are a man and a woman, a dad and a mom, you know. Like there's
It's
more layers to that, and I actually really appreciate that, because I feel like, again, it's like it's not like these characters are being written to do this because, oh, that's the
mm-hmm.
role that they play. It's like, they just took
They're
on those
people.
traits. Yeah, they're people.
Yeah.
Their
It's
pasts
interesting.
inform their current personalities and views on life, and
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
their
Yeah,
relationships
yeah,
with each other overwrite any sort of uh, in Jin's case, overwrite any sort of exterior rejection of said responsibilities or
Mm-hmm.
uh, affections.
mhm,
It's a really fucking, it's really good. That's all I can say. It's just really
Yeah.
good.
yeah.
Now then.
Uh, but
Let's
now,
talk about Miyuki.
let's talk about Miyuki. Miyuki is the teenage girl that sort of ran away from home after attacking her father and
Stabbing him.
stabbing him in the side,
Yeah,
uh, because the she assumed that he sold her cat,
Mm-hmm.
and then after that incident she ran away, and we don't really we're not really told who or how she ended up in this little
Mm-hmm.
found family group, but she's been here for a while
For
because
like 6 months.
yeah. They
for,
say
for
six
yeah for
months.
a bit.
Yeah, a good bit.
Um, and she is sort of like she obviously she misses her family a lot, and she kind of misses that sort of life that she had, but she blocks those feelings out with her, like, almost like lying to herself about how she like hates her family.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because there's a bit in the movie where they're on the train trying to find Kyoko's parents, and like it's a snowstorm, so the train stops, and then another train, coincidentally again, stops by, and the windows that she is standing next to lines up with the window that her estranged father is standing next to, and they see each other, and and
it's a funny moment.
she freaks
It,
out.
yeah, because it's a moment in like real life where come sometimes you have bad you've had trouble with a person in the past, and then like you accidentally find them again. It's like, oh shit.
Mhm.
It's another part of this movie's themes of just like random occurrences happening.
And despite like
Yeah,
yeah, she stabbed him, you don't feel like she is vilified in any sort
No.
of way. She is
it's
very
yeah. It's
much
not like she's written to be like she just stabbed her dad because she had she has violent tendencies to, or
You
like,
can go deeper into it and like
like
I
it's definitely implied that she already felt like she was not important to her parents.
mhm. There's definitely something there with her father who was in some way being probably disrespectful to her.
She's a very very troubled kid, and
yeah,
it all comes to a head when we find she finds a strip from the newspaper, um with a message from her father, because you see, kids, in the newspaper people used to be able to put messages on them to other people,
mm,
or put ads out in the newspaper. I'm sure people
Mhm.
know this, but if you're a super zoomer or a Gen Alpha in like 5 years watching this,
oh
um,
Lord,
that's what they did. Um, but she sees it, and the message is from her dad saying like, Miyuki, Angel came home, and Angel's her cat. So it's obviously like he's trying to find any sort of means possible to let her know that like
Things can be
no,
better.
things can be better.
yeah,
I didn't sell your cat, first of all. um I don't care, I just want you to come home.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
like that was like a real and that was a really good scene, and it's special because like that's when she like she grabs up the remaining money that she has, and she gets up and she's like, I'm going for a walk, and everyone's like, oh, what's she doing? She goes to a payphone again. People used to find phones on the street, use
Yeah,
coins, and call them.
they use their money and call people, call
Yeah,
police,
no,
call your family, call your friends.
they're homeless, so they don't have a cell phone.
Yeah, I mean, in this 2003. Well, actually, no, they had phones back then.
They have
What am I
phones.
saying?
But yeah,
Like the cell phones.
she calls her pops, and you hear him on the other line, but she
doesn't really say
she
anything.
can't she doesn't, and you can actually really tell on her like face that she can't say anything because she doesn't.
Which is
Mm-hmm.
it's
But
so
it's like she
real.
just wanted to hear his voice again, and she hangs up.
But
And that's kind of the
he kind of recognizes right away that it's her just from her breathing and kind of like muffled sound she makes.
yeah, and it's just like the facial animation just sells it. It's so good. This movie is so fucking well made that
Yeah.
without words you can just tell
You can
what
just
this
tell.
character is thinking, what they're feeling, what they're trying to say but can't. It's just
Yeah.
it all
It's very good.
it's film. It's filmmaking.
Yeah,
Something
when the movie does the film things.
Yes.
something I've seen kind of been like with people who've kind of gotten into Miyuki. You could kind of go into like the idea that she is probably troubled in her life with what she had done to her father. Because like one of the biggest troubles in Japan often is that like when it comes to body weight, people who like stick out differently often get bullied in ways. So it's very much a real possibility that she might have gotten bullied, that she had so much trouble where her cat was the only thing that comforted.
Yeah.
Blech.
You mentioned that because
Comforted.
like
Yeah.
in the flashbacks, she is heavier, like she is chubbier than she is currently. I'm assuming maybe she lost weight because when you're homeless,
Yeah.
you don't be eating a lot. I don't know, maybe something else.
Yeah,
But
but
she was a bit heavier as a kid.
it's very much like you can take in that like the cat meant a lot to her, and it's one of the only things that really gave her happiness in that time.
Sense of security and joy. And
Yeah.
whenever when that cat disappeared, that source it swelled up and
Yeah.
exploded in the worst possible way.
I like how she's written because she is kind of like the typical kid character of like,
Yeah.
oh, she
sassy.
thinks she knows better than she does because she's a kid, and she's trying to ignore her feelings and act as if she's above them. You know, it like maybe not straight up saying she's trying to act mature, but I feel like it's like similar to that in other things where a character is trying to act like, you know, they're mature, they're above it, they're not like, you know,
Try to
it's
act like
beyond
they're
it.
older than they already
Yeah,
are.
it's beyond them. But Miyuki is a kid. Like she probably fucking misses home a lot. She's used to her circumstances, but like she never got to like fully get that closure and fully like she's afraid to like face these things, like in that scene where she just hangs up on whoever picked up. She's afraid, you know. There's a really nice scene. By the way, there's a part in the movie where there's a heist.
Oh yeah,
like
it becomes like a gang war movie for a few
bro,
for a
bro,
bit.
there's a lot. So
The
let me
Yakuza.
try and bring it up. So due to circumstances, coincidental, obviously, they end up at a wedding. It's the wedding for who is it? Who is this wedding for? Or it's not maybe not a wedding, but the
It's like a Yakuza like boss almost.
but like who's the
his
guy? Like the
daughter.
guy's marrying someone, and the daughter's important.
Oh,
Who's the daughter?
the daughter is she is the daughter of like the Yakuza guy, like the head
Yeah.
Yakuza guy,
And then
then
the guy
the guy is what was he?
he's a person I think who kind of like scammed Jin, which Jin gets really angry suddenly
Hmm.
when seeing his face.
Yeah, and
Because
like they're
he
at
is
yeah
kind of part of the reason why Jin became homeless.
yeah, and they're at that wedding or party or whatever. I'm gonna say it's a
It's like a
bachelor
wedding
party.
party. I think it
Yeah,
was
wedding
I think it
party.
was the wedding because the bride was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is a waitress there. It's like this like dark skinned girl with a
Oh, that
bob
was
with a fuck ass bob.
Mhm.
And then when the fucking gang war starts happening, that waitress takes off a wig, and it's actually a dude who was a part of the other gang that Yakuza gang was beefing with. There's like some fucking Latino gang that's having beef with the Yakuza.
Yeah.
I just
So
looked it up. She was marrying the owner of the nightclub that the baby's mom, quote unquote, worked at.
that's why it was important. There's a lot
Yeah.
of threads in this movie. There's a lot of
Yeah, that's
connecting
right.
things. So that dude takes Miyuki hostage, and he takes her to this really gross, like seedy underground looking place. And at first I was like, oh, don't
Oh
fucking
no.
like
Yeah.
don't put her into like sex trafficking or some shit. But no, like she just kind of stays at the house that he lives at, and there is a
Holding
woman.
the baby, by the way. She has
Yeah,
Kyoko in her arms
Yeah.
at the
she's
same
holding
time.
the baby. She has another baby that's hers. But she's just kind of taking care of them. She's breastfeeding them, and she's speaking Spanish to Miyuki. Miyuki can't understand much, but
Yeah.
they end up having a connection anyways because I guess the universal concept of family brings everyone together. But
Exactly.
they're able to like things across because the mom is explaining like, oh, this is my mom, this is my family, uh and like what's your family like, and she's like, oh, my mom, she's crazy, she's always praying all the time, and my fucking dad was a dick, and like, but when she's looking at these pictures and she's recounting everything, she gets sad, she starts
Yeah.
crying, and like this random woman who can't speak a lick of fucking Japanese is comforting her because like she misses that, like you could say that she misses that comfort of her mom, or more just generally the comfort of her family. She she realizes that she's been avoiding this
Yeah.
for a long time.
Yeah.
um I don't know, I really like that scene. Even though
It's
the
a very
setup
good
to it was
scene.
really fucking weird. But
Also, it's not hmm, it's not concluded. There's no like cuz when I was watching and that happened, I thought the remainder of the movie was going to be like, "Oh, we're wrapped up in this like gang war while we're trying to find the kid's mom." Like that would
nope.
be sort of the American version of this movie, I think.
Yeah.
Um, but relaying to the themes of coincidence and just life going along, it doesn't really follow up on that. But you know that like eventually like that storyline continues like
Or
Mhm.
there's like
over
a
there.
callback at the end where it's like, oh shit, it's the fucking guy who shot the husband or
Yeah.
something. But it doesn't do that. They do just drop it. Like it is not that it doesn't happen with a purpose, but that whole thing happens, and then right after they're going on to the next like thread.
Yeah.
Like
It's
Yeah.
it's so Miyuki uh can like meet this woman who is very much obviously a mother, very motherly, and like um plays into that whole like the whole family theme of
Hmm.
like um fuck, I'm trying, I forget what I was gonna say, but like it
themes.
is just very much the theme of family. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
I
It's
do
the
think while I really like that scene a lot and it does play a major important part in uh Miyuki's journey in this movie. It's also my biggest criticism of the movie because yeah, I am like I'm down with the whole like this is a moment in people's lives sort of thing.
Mhm.
It's just a window into one specific time and like it's all a non-traditional three-act structure sort of thing, but it is kind of because of the weaving threads of fate that
Yeah.
seem to keep this story going. My big sort of like, okay, but maybe if you introduce that, maybe you should wrap it up by the end, is the whole
Mm.
like
I understand, yeah.
gang war that starts happening.
It does feel a little
It was more so like
um
a tool to
not random.
it was more so just like a tool to get Miyuki to a place to meet
Yeah.
this woman who reaffirms the whole theme of Miyuki and missing her family. But
See,
it does I
actually,
can see what you mean. Yeah.
In the
because
middle with that.
that's what I thought while watching this. That's what I thought the title meant. Like
Oh,
Godfathers.
Yeah.
Like I was like,
I
oh,
see.
this
my
is
daughter.
this
You
is a
took my
gang
daughter
movie.
away from me.
Yeah, this movie
He's the
involves like
boss.
gangs and stuff. Okay, but no, it's well, at the end, the real for real this time parents of the baby, like they're like, we want to make them, the baby's godfathers. Which, yeah, I knew that was like, I knew that was gonna be it because like they're uh, taking care of this child.
Yeah.
But I thought it was gonna be like the double entendre of like, oh, they're taking care of this baby that's not really theirs, but also like the gang war. Like I thought that was gonna like, I thought it was a double entendre of some
Uh-huh.
kind, but it's kind of
It's
just a smaller part of a different story. Maybe this movie was an hour longer. I don't know.
maybe I think the length was fine.
Yeah.
I'm kind of in the middle of it where I'm like, on one hand, it's like, yeah, that doesn't really get followed up with, and you could say like that seems very it might feel a little random, like the escalation of that, and that it just doesn't get followed up with. I don't know why I don't feel hmm, like again I can see that, and I actually do like get it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel too much like that. I think just because by the time the movie was progressing and moving on to different things, I wasn't even really thinking about that. I was just like,
Yeah.
okay, here's this next part of the story and how like it progresses. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
I didn't.
like
I don't
again,
think.
like
I don't
yeah,
think it ruins the movie,
Of course.
but it's very
it's
much
just one of
like,
your like preferences, just more so
hmm,
like if it did this instead.
yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah. It's
I've
just
got it, bro.
I just looked at it, yeah, as like a glimpse in another life. But uh onward from
Uh,
that, because I think we've talked about enough about that whole thing.
yeah, I have some other things in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I have some things.
The rattling in your brain.
Yeah. Something that when I was looking at like the wiki for that, it didn't occur to me when watching it, but like when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. Is something that they also wanted to portray with this movie is sort of this idea that like not just that the city is alive, but like
Hmm.
the city has like I don't know how to explain it other than like the characters are able to find these things and make these threats and come to these things because of the city that they're in, because the city
Hmm.
itself is like alive. It's like it's
Yeah,
kind
the
of related to
city
that sort of
isn't.
idea of divine intervention where it's like something higher is letting these things happen
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
these characters in order to guide them to the place that they need to be in.
It's
It's not.
almost as life. It's almost as like the city of Tokyo itself is a character in this
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, they literally say. I think it's literally one of Kon says this himself, but like it's almost like the city itself is considered a character. Like
Hmm.
I think the example you brought up with the fucking lights going out is a good example, like a fucking life bar.
Hmm.
Where it's just like that doesn't happen in real life. It's just like the city, quote unquote, is sort of reacting. It's like cementing something that's happening
Hmm.
already.
Almost like
Um,
guiding the characters as well.
yeah.
It's kind of like the movie. It's kind of like the movie, obviously telling this really grounded story that could be live action, but just chose not to be.
Hmm.
Is really with its like theme of sort of like divine intervention, coincidence, whatever, miracles. It's almost as if Satoshi Kon's ideology was like, well, yeah, this works because this is fiction.
Yeah.
Of course, a fiction, like a sort of
Yeah, in this
fictitious
fictionist
way,
world,
it all works out. You know,
Mhm.
this
this way
fictionist a fantastical world of Tokyo, Japan.
of
But
Tokyo, Japan.
but it's so close to where it's something that you can also believe could be
Yeah.
true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is true. Like, I mean, with Tokyo kind of being like the character, it's like it's not really a tool to get from one place to another, but it showcases the many lives of different people
Yeah.
between those who are homeless or those who are wealthy or the fucking yakuza,
Dude,
or
yeah.
or
Or
people who are not from Japan and living there, or the section with
A
the drag
baby.
queens and stuff, so on. It's a vision. It's a glimpse into many different lives.
yeah,
Yeah. To the city thing, it's like I don't know if this is intentional, but like I was reading up that like I guess because this is also like real life. You know when like you look
Mhm.
at a house and you're like that house is like has a face.
yeah,
And
Yeah,
like
like
the
yeah,
windows and the
the windows
door.
look like
yeah,
eyes and the fucking like overhang looks like a mouth and
yeah,
the roof looks like a hat. Like personification of things that aren't like alive at all. Like that's something that people do in real life because we attribute that to things.
Yeah.
We like to like we just like doing that to things. We identify
yeah.
things as
We
living
give
or
character.
as yeah, make characters. So like that was kind of another similar thing that they were trying to do with the city, where it's almost like this the again the personification of this environment. um but it's not something that the characters acknowledge. The characters themselves aren't like, oh man, this fucking city keeps fucking things up. Like it's more so
No, yeah.
something an audience member would pick up on to be like this, oh, like
Mm-hmm.
the city as a character almost.
Mm-hmm.
I also think about how like I forgot what it's called. Is it called Shinto? Is it's the religion or just the belief in Japan, like the dominant belief
Mm.
where
That's like
everything
the
has a spirit?
yeah, that's like the
Mm.
commies and stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like everything is alive in a sense or has a soul. Like
yeah,
nature has a soul. Your house and your items and your belongings have souls, like that kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing.
yeah. That
Yeah,
is,
it ties into the religious themes of the movie as well.
I know
Hmm.
that is kind of like what he says with like Tokyo being
Excuse
alive.
me.
That is something that I know plays into his other works as well. Is that like things become alive, objects
Yeah.
become alive and stuff. So that's
Hmm.
kind of a consistency I know at least with him, which is fun. I like that.
While on the topic of the city, I want to
Hmm.
talk about the backgrounds in this movie.
Oh yeah,
Beautiful.
very.
Beautiful. Very dense, very
Beautiful,
beautiful.
dense, hand painted, crafted with love.
Yeah.
Uh, you can almost
It,
see the brush strokes. Like it's just so good.
Hmm.
Um,
Is it digital?
it
Because I know that this movie was digitized or it was
could.
digital.
I
I don't know.
think.
I think maybe so. Like the street looked like the street detail looked digital, but like the buildings and stuff to me, and maybe it's because this movie was kind of like upscaled because it's the
Hmm.
4K version.
Hmm.
It looked painted to me. I don't know. It looked very clear and nice. Um,
Yeah, it's a very beautiful movie. Like aside from the animation itself, like very. I don't know. I like when shows or movies specifically really take advantage of like environments like this, where it's like it's always bustling with people.
Yeah.
It's a city. Like you take advantage
The
of that.
lights of the city and the
very.
during the snow and stuff.
Hmm.
It's very beautiful.
It's a very.
This
It's like a
was
centralized. It's like a focused, centralized version of that scene in the Cowboy Bebop movie.
Hmm.
That's funny
So
you mentioned that because the co-writer of this film is Keiko Nobumoto, who wrote for Cowboy Bebop.
huh, that's fun. So it's also kind of fun is that like with the backgrounds and the lighting, is that like when the child appears, also there's like a light that comes from the child, which is also a part of like kind of a symbol of religion, like that comes from religion of like light coming from a deity,
Yeah.
which is a fun detail.
The baby's that baby from My Hero that's glowing.
It all
There was
goes
some.
back
This
to
is
My
off
Hero.
topic. There was some crazy lore about that baby that dropped recently, but
Oh
that's
yeah,
for
there's
another video.
yeah.
It just reminded me of it.
'Cause I
But
haven't
yeah,
read
it's
that far.
It's very masterfully created and made.
mhm.
Yeah. There was another thing that that they talked about. I'm still reading off the Wikipedia, by the way. This is where I'm getting
Mhm.
everything. It's about just how the found family thing and how they're not blood related, but like they just kind of take on those roles as like a family, and sort of portraying this idea of how a family could function,
Yeah.
uh, not have like without it being like confined to like general societal norms of what it should be.
Hmm.
Um,
Even Miyuki like has that dream of Jin and Hana uh being her parents as well.
Like, oh,
yeah,
dinner's ready, and
Yeah.
she dreams about her actual parents, and then they turn it into Jin
Yeah.
and Hana, which is very funny.
damn Yuki, how
Um,
come you have two families?
two families, very funny. There's also something that I thought about with this movie too, because it's about the homelessness.
Yeah.
Because I feel like in
Definitely.
some other media, real homelessness is portrayed in a very weird way. Like
Hmm.
you either have homelessness portrayed as like homeless people portrayed as like crazy bums, like they're stupid, and the
Yeah.
reason why they're in that place is because of their own actions, and it's all their fault, and they shouldn't be in poverty, they shouldn't be homeless,
It's a
or
very
just more,
capitalistic like view on
yeah,
homelessness.
or more of surface level that they're just stupid bum crackheads.
Yeah.
But then you have something that's more complicated where you have stuff that is sympathetic towards the homeless people, but in a very like
Oh, poor
emotional
guy.
porn way, like, oh, look at the widow homeless people, they're
Yeah.
so sad.
God.
or like
Yeah.
using the homeless as like emotion porn. I forgot the actual term, but
Hmm.
like kind of like, see, even homeless people can do these things, so
Even
you
their
can
people.
too. Like it's very strange and weird
Yeah.
how people like that are treated in media. And it's interesting with Godfathers because I didn't really get the feeling that Satoshi wanted to like portray homeless people because of that sort of like pity, like
Mm.
tilt that a lot of them have, or that he
Mhm.
wanted to condemn them for being poor, or to over like woobify them for being poor.
Hmm.
Like it was just
It's just something. It's just
yeah.
people. It's just
He
people.
he he said that he didn't want it to be like something where he was like showing how weak they are because of this, or how unhappy they are solely due to the homelessness, because
Hmm.
they also have a lot of issues about them that aren't really tangentially related to homelessness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Just being a
they
person,
they
human.
just kind of, not that they happen to be homeless, but like that is an aspect of their life and their character and why they are the way that they are. But like that's
Hmm.
not really the point. Like it's not
Yeah.
really the point
Yeah.
necessarily. I mean, even then, like I guess you could say another thing that doesn't get really solved or wrapped up is that problem. Do these characters become not homeless later on after the movie's events? We don't know that. But
Hmm.
I don't think that was really the point to solve the homelessness crisis. I think he just wanted to really explore characters who happen to be in a situation like that. And I feel
Yeah.
like it's one of the portrayals that I personally like. I mean, I'm not like a spokesperson or an expert on it, so like I can't say whether this is like the most respectful thing. But I felt like it was, because it's like it never felt like again, it didn't feel like it was like pity on them for this, or to like beat down on these characters because of where they are. Like, if anything, again, it's more about their choices and the things that have happened to them in their life before they became homeless. So like, I think that being handled in this movie was pretty well done to
Yeah.
me. I thought it made the movie a lot more interesting, you know,
It
instead
has
of just
some.
solely what's the word? Like, it's not like a gimmick. It's
No.
not like the gimmick is
It's
like
it's a
it's
bit
a
of.
homeless family, bump bump bump. Like, it wasn't like that.
It's it's very much a story that could not be told through the point of view of a non-homeless cast.
Yeah. It has a little bit of social commentary. It's not all about that.
Yeah. So
Just
like,
like
I like that a
In the,
lot.
I wanted to circle back to the bag that the old guy gave to Jin, because in it, at the end of the movie, it's revealed that it was winning lottery tickets,
yeah.
but that bag was dropped during the climax. So they're they kind of show us like, oh, well, if they didn't drop it,
Oh wait, it has the winning numbers.
Yeah.
yeah, it has a winning. It's a winning
Because
lottery ticket.
earlier in the movie there was a lottery thing where the dude announced like 11111 is the lottery number that wins.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah,
It drops out in the hospital when Miyuki goes to grab something. The bag drops out and it shows the lottery number. So it's like it
So
it doesn't
mate,
really it's something that they maybe win and get
yeah,
to have a new life, but
yeah,
who
maybe
knows?
they start anew.
you
We don't
never
know.
know.
You
We
never
don't see
know.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at least it doesn't do that thing where it's like, I mean, even stuff that I like does this, where it's like the poor people get the money and they're like,
Yeah.
wow, I love having money, but then later they realize, oh man,
It's
having money
just
isn't the purpose of life. It's
yeah.
about being happy, which is like, sure, yeah, but
The movie ends before they can even get that money. The the movie concludes, so it's not like it doesn't
yeah,
give that lesson of like, oh, money is extremely
money
necessary for
solves your
happiness.
problems,
Yeah.
or rather, like I said, the more like weird tilt of like, these people don't
Oh,
need money to
yeah.
be happy. They're happy being homeless.
Yeah. It's just
Like,
something
that's
that
not what it's about.
it's just something. Um
Yeah.
one last thing about like the homeless aspect of the movie is that like uh is like the aspect of like Hana who is trans and well LGBT, and that is like a big part of like homeless people is that they are there is a big group who are homeless and
There's a lot
are
of queer homeless
LGBT.
people.
Yeah, and
They
have
got kicked
been
out of their house, or they left, or like,
it's
and
been
they
people who have been casted out from society between either like family or jobs or whatever. And it's I think that was interesting because it is a very real occurrence within life here in the now and also the past as well.
yeah.
It's
I
another
also
piece.
yeah. What's up?
Go
Huh?
ahead, Donnie.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say something. I was just gonna say that I like that they showed that, and
Hmm.
like, I think something I appreciated a lot was that they like, it's when she goes to see her drag mother, and she sees like her old pals and stuff, and
Yeah.
like, I don't know, I just feel like, dude, show this to a fucking like gooner on Twitter, and their head's gonna explode,
Uh-huh.
because you always hear people say shit like, you know, like implying that gayness and queerness is a Western concept, and
Hmm.
that Japan never, their media never dabbles into that, because it's a politic free society, and I guess gay people don't exist over there. Like,
Hmm.
just accepting as a Western idea, so therefore
Yeah.
Japan doesn't succumb to that. But it's like, no, bro, they exist
It's there.
everywhere. You're fucking stupid, and
It's
you're being dumb.
it's something where like Japan is very tightly knit. and people, like I said earlier with Miyuki, is that like if you are different, often you get bullied or like casted out, and that goes extremely for LGBT people.
I think all the characters kind of have that where it's like they weren't like. I mean, you can even say for Jin and like I feel like there's a lot of things where male characters kind of get they kind of get shat on or punished for not
Mhm.
being able to live up to those masculine standards of what they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Which this applies here as well. So like that, yeah. But with Hana, I thought it was very nice to see that because like you have people who just straight up like it's erasure. They just say that that doesn't exist in Japan, but it does. Like gay culture exists in Japan. They have they have lots of things. It just doesn't. It might not look or sound the same as opposed to what we know in the Western society. Like you may not recognize it as your own idea of it, but it's there, and like they have their own scenes and their own terminology, and
Yeah.
It
Different culture
exists.
around it.
The
And this was made
idea,
in like 2003.
Yeah. Which is interesting because something I learned in a review uh is that like this movie came out before the whole like restrictions on becoming trans, which was in 2004, I think. Um which I mean if you don't know about that, there's a lot of like rules within like being recognized as a trans person in Japan,
There's a lot of
and
stuff in Japan, like from what I know, can change your identity, like your sex, and like you can be recognized, but you have to like get
there's
surgeries, and there's just a lot of like
sterilized
weird.
or whatever it
Also because let's be real here, LGBT people are still not legally protected in Japan,
Oh yeah.
so it's very much like it's not gray over there. Like
No.
you might think, oh, there's no gay people. It's because like their government sucks
Yeah.
and still doesn't treat them very well. I'm pretty sure gay marriage is still not legal over there. So
Yeah.
like, unless I'm tripping, you can people can correct me because there's a lot of misconceptions about stuff. But like,
Yeah. But regardless, there's a lot that you can go into with this movie, and it showcases a lot of things that are usually not talked about. And I very much find that one of a part of this movie's like best, most interesting things about it is that fact that they're between like the homelessness, social commentary on like also LGBT people and
in
many other
2003,
things.
2003.
2003.
Like there are things now that don't treat queerness with this
Yeah.
much respect, which is so fucking insane to me. Like that's still an issue in anime, just in shit in general. And I'm not
Yeah.
even saying that to say that like this movie is perfect. Like there's
Oh
a
no.
lot of jokes that are kind of like oh, but like I think why I don't even mind it too much is because I think Hana herself is respected as a character. She
Yeah.
doesn't feel like a caricature. She doesn't feel
It's
like that it's like a gag that she's trans. Like
yeah.
like she's a well fleshed out character.
Yeah.
And I think
And
that's why I really appreciated how they went into it
the characters
because
even like
it's
come to
just like
like respect her as well over
yeah,
the movie.
like they misgender her at the start, but like throughout the movie, like they call her like in the translate they call her a woman. They like I mean throughout the movie they call her geezer grandma but like they treat her as a woman, like
Yeah.
even like the way they talk about her, they treat her as a woman because she is one. And yeah,
Mic
I
drop.
don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
It's
everyone claps.
I wanted to bring up the idea that um, I wanted to bring up the idea that equality and diversity and just respecting people for who or what they are, for people who believe that is quote unquote Western ideology. First of all, no, that's worldwide. It is not restricted to fucking liberal California. No. It's the whole everyone on the world wants to be respected and treated equally. The fucking golden rule throughout the throughout all of society is treat others like how you want to be treated.
Yeah.
So
And
stick that up your tailpipe.
this movie is very much about just the good nature of people, and the respect towards others as well.
Also,
Mhm.
just like
That's
the
nice.
the human, the humanization,
Yeah.
where it's like you could sit here and say, oh, like these characters are objectively kind of shit, but like
We're human.
the point, yeah, they're human. That's like the whole thing. Like, because even throughout the movie, the conflict with the parents and the babies isn't as like black and white as
Yeah.
it seems. There's just more to this. There's more to it when
Oh,
you
we
keep going down.
didn't even really talk about that.
Bro, it's a whole thread
That's a
of
whole
shit.
thing. That
It's a
for
whole
that,
thread.
even though we're in spoilers, and be like, you gotta watch that part. You gotta just.
So I want to talk about like what they find out at the end. So like, isn't it that it turns out that the baby, the mom, they actually do find the mom. Like Hana and Miyuki find the mom. But then Jin learns on his own because he meets the husband.
Yeah.
Like he literally just breaks into his house, and they live in a fucking trash heap. Um, the narrative that we learn is that the husband was really bad to the wife, and it was very dysfunctional, and blah 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 blah. And we were led to believe that the baby is theirs, but it's actually not. The woman stole a
Had a
baby, a random ass baby, from a hospital because she couldn't conceive, right? She wasn't able to have a baby, or did the baby die?
She
was
had
a
a
stillborn.
miscarriage.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
miscarriage. So she, out of from that situation and her desperation to wanting to still be a mother, she stole a baby from the hospital.
And to her, having that baby would also is her attempt to repair that marriage. So it's all
like to prove that they can be a functioning family
Yeah.
again.
Wow. Themes.
And like they actually approach this like the first time Hana Miyuki approached this lady is when she's gonna kill herself. She's like about to jump off a bridge,
Yeah.
and then they return the baby to her, and she's like, "Oh my god, thank you so much." But then it's later when Jin tells them like, "That's not her baby, bro. That's not her baby."
It becomes a whole situation.
Wild goose
But
chase.
eventually, finally, they do find the original family, and yeah, that's just how they become the Godfathers, and
you gotta
like,
watch it to really
to really absorb.
digest it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, because again, it's like one of those things where it doesn't feel like they're trying to antagonize characters outright for
No.
things. Because like, let's see, objectively, that woman is kind of a shit. Like, you stole a baby from someone, bro. Holy shit.
It
But
just
like,
showcases like the message that humans are complex and we have a lot of
yeah,
faults within ourselves that sometimes
yeah.
in our darkest like moments we can just do stupid shit.
yeah.
I mean, hey, it's like she tried to take someone's baby and tried to be a mom, but it's like, hey, man, those three homeless bums just saw a baby and was like, let's take care of it. Like, you know,
Well,
they also did similar
also
things.
about the baby, that's the most realistic baby in an anime I've seen.
Dude,
It's
I
the
don't know
baby
what
of
they
all
did to
time.
that baby in the booth, but she was crying.
They
That
took
baby's
away her
constantly
binky.
crying throughout the movie.
You know how like Yuki Kaji, they actually tore his arm off for the role of Eren
Of
Yeager and his
Eren
like screams.
Yeager.
They actually took that baby's binky away from it
Mhm.
in the booth. Like I swear.
Yeah. I'm also sorry. The baby like says something in a scene.
There's like a
Yeah,
scene.
it's the scene.
You know
Let's talk
the
about
movie.
it.
You know the part in the one
Pokemon.
Pokemon movie where Ash and Pikachu are about to die, and then Pikachu's like,
Why aren't you going back into your Pokeball?
I just want to be with you.
And the people in the theater are like, what?
What the fuck?
I love that video
There's a moment.
so much.
There's a moment like that in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't think it
Yeah, it's when
actually happened, like in real.
yeah,
But
I
like,
think that's
no.
more of like a like that's what the mother takes, like
Delusion.
but the baby literally speaks and says like, "I want to go home." Like she says it very quietly, but like the baby
Yeah.
speaks. There's lip sync to the to the audio, and I just remember being like,
I
don't
laughed.
question
I
it too
giggled.
much. I was just no, that was funny as fuck. I was just like, okay,
I,
I'm gonna assume the
as
baby did not actually speak in that scene. That's fine.
I couldn't help it. Yeah.
That's okay.
I
That was
I
really funny.
it was great.
Mm,
I want to talk about this movie to the ends of the earth, but we are
I
running out
could.
of time.
Oh shit. Yeah. I feel like we kind of got like the main stuff. The
The
main
general
stuff.
themes, the allegories.
Yeah.
But
Tasty.
yeah,
I guess the last thing I wanted to talk about, just in terms of stuff that I also found interesting about it, was just
Yeah.
how prominent Christianity was. Like we talked about it earlier,
Yeah.
but like Japan, there is religion, like Shinto is the dominant religion, but
Yeah.
it's also a very secular, secular country. Like
Mhm.
I don't think there's very yeah, there's religions and there's cults and it's not like devoid of that. It's just that it's not a very it's not super dominant in the culture of the society, I guess. Like it's not like how there's like American Christianity where that's very like ingrained in a lot of places of America, um,
Yeah.
like historically. Um, and like even people who may not even like be religious, like they might hold some religious ideas because of their environment, how they grew up, whatever. Which that probably happens in Japan as well. Just generally, it's very secular. But yeah, I was just kind of, I always get a little like, not surprised. It's always very funny to see very, in my view, Western Christianity performed by a separate group of people who it's just very interesting to see, especially since like we talked about earlier, like Christmas itself as a holiday, it's not um it's
It's a
not
novelty.
yeah, like it's literally just aesthetics, like
Yeah.
Santa and Christmas hats and Coca-Cola. Like they just
Yep.
took the American capitalist idea of Christmas and was just like, yeah, we love that shit.
yeah,
That's
it's
It's
super.
awesome.
interesting.
It's a super interesting like um perspective on
Yeah.
the holiday and the religion itself. You don't really see typically because a lot of mainstream kind of stuff is based a lot in like Japanese sort of myth and,
Japanese
and, and
folklore,
Yeah.
folklore.
religion, and stuff like that. Yeah, Japanese beliefs and superstitions.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Yeah. Anyways,
We are out of time.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go pee.
I do too. um, I've been holding it. I'm like, please. Anyway, so yeah, Tokyo Godfathers, great
Wonderful.
movie, wonderful time. Watch it with your friends. Watch it with your family if you want to. I don't know. Do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
But watch it regardless. Um, definitely 100% recommend to anyone who is in the mood to watch something
Not
Christmassy, but
sad.
but not cliche.
I think it's just a
Cliche.
good like winter movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The winter
Like I said,
season.
it showcases like the different sides of Christmas and people's emotions with it.
I saw someone recommend this movie recently. Like someone made a tweet like there are no like where do all the good Christmas movies go? And someone quote tweeted like here's this movie. I was like, oh, like people still
Yeah.
talk about this to this day as like one of the quintessential, not just anime films, but like quintessential Christmas movies to watch.
Oh yeah.
I
Definitely.
recommend this as well, like
Yep.
heavily. Like whether it's just you like animation, watch that shit. You like seeing basically like character study films. I
Mm-hmm.
would say this is very good, like
Yeah.
very good in that. Just overall very well made. Like I felt very inspired after watching this. Like when you watch a movie and you're like, "Fuck, I want to make a movie. I want to do that." I really like it. Just changes how you see things, and you're like, "Well, now I have to apply this to how I make my art, how I do things." It's like that. It very much affected me in that way, and now I want to watch more of this director's movies.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh, we'll
and
definitely cover some more in the
I
future.
think
Yeah.
this movie, at least like for me, it was something where like I watched it, I was like, that was good. But then I got more in depth with everything. I was like, I picked apart a lot of the things, and it's just like, wow,
And you're like, this
this
is
has
Wow.
great.
this is very good. This has a lot
Wow.
of like little things that you can miss, but also like you put extra thought into it, and you're like, huh, wow, this has a lot
Mhm.
of like genuine like a lot of genuine like thought and art put into this piece of film.
Yeah.
So like Donnie said, you can very much like study these characters and everything.
Mhm.
That's why I
That's a
gotta say
big
though.
old thumbs up from the UA Anime Club boys.
I give this a big thumbs up.
A big one. Big.
And this is the last UA Anime Club of 2023. This is
Yeah.
this is crazy.
I can't believe there will never be another one ever
That's
again.
not true.
By the way, we're done with My Hero. That's it. No,
No.
just
No.
kidding.
We'll probably talk about it next
No,
year, but we're
we
not gonna
will.
do the episode by episode format. Never
Yeah.
again.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
But yeah, we've reached the end of 2023. We've made it. You made it. That's great. Good job.
Woo.
But yeah, we're reaching the holidays. You might be watching this on the holiday, so we got other holiday videos coming up soon. And but before we sign off, I just want to say, like, yeah, from our figure eight family, you could say, to yours.
Have a Yuri Christmas.
And a Yaoi New Year.
Good night, everybody. See you next
Good
adventure.
night, bro.
This